I want to talk to you about generational curses and how they run deep. And the way that I'm going to explain this is I'm going to tell you my story and how I'm trying to break this generational curse. And hopefully it will help you, okay? I haven't really told this story, not like this. So I'm going to start with my mother. My mother was born in Japan from the census records that I have gotten a hold of. I don't know a whole lot about my mother because I did not grow up with her. I did have some interactions that were not great, and I'll explain. Anyway, my mother was born in Japan. My grandfather was in the war, and she got her citizenship in America at age 10 after my grandfather had got out of the war. My grandmother and my grandfather split up. Back then, women were told to put their children into foster care or orphanages until they got their life together because they couldn't possibly raise their kids on their own, right? So my grandmother, who was Catholic, put my mother and her brothers into a Catholic orphanage. It was not a good thing. They were abused badly. My uncle was thrown out a window, broke his arm in two places by a priest. My they my mother, I know for sure, had been sexually assaulted many times, and there was a nun that she spoke about who always protected her. That was the only thing she told me about the orphanage. On the day that she got out, a car had pulled up as if knowing she was getting out and tried to put her in, drag her into the car, and the nun came and fought the guy off and saved her. Now, she moved back in with my grandma and her new husband, and life was hard to adjust. She was a child. She was stubborn and she was rebellious. She was angry. She had a right to be. My grandmother, who I love very deeply, don't get me wrong, I'm not ever putting any blame onto her or anything like that. But choices were made and they weren't always good choices, right? At the age of 13, they started working on, there were pimps already scouting my mother out. Let's put it that way. She became a prostitute. Now, my brother and I were born. She was married to my father. They divorced on my third birthday exactly. And my dad took us away because he said that she was not stable. So we got to visit her occasionally. On When I was 10 years old, we were sent to visit her, or maybe I was 8. That's kind of confusing on how old I was because a lot happened in those years. I'm thinking I was 10, and she had a boyfriend who was a pimp. Go figure. And we were staying there for the summer, and the pimp broke her ribs and as the ambulance with a pull stick, and as the ambulance was taking her away, he started messing with me. I was 10 years old. While my mother was in the hospital, he took me to a bar where he kept messing with me in front of everybody and didn't care. He was getting ready to sell me. And there was a woman who came into the bar who was a ex prostitute of his. She had got her life together, and she confronted him about what he was doing, and she started a big old scene so that it wouldn't happen and I would be saved, and I thank her to this day. I went we So that was full, you know, stopped, and then I got my dad to take us back to Colorado where we lived, and I didn't go back. years, except for when we were traveling through with my dad and my stepmom. And I still talk to my mom, but not a lot. And I blamed her for a lot of years, not knowing that it really wasn't her. It wasn't her. She was a product of the environment. They, she was a victim. She was a victim. Then I got married, and I was married for 38 years. I lived with him for 5 years. We got divorced. It was hard. We had children together, adult children together. It was hard. It was all I ever knew was marriage. And I fell apart. I hit rock bottom, and I had to go get some mental help for a short time, which I did, and I got that taken care of. But then I started being hacked on my phone, and they were hacking me and talking negative things, I mean, really bad things, to destroy my self esteem, destroy who I am, destroy everything about me, what I felt. And my first reaction was, of course, to fight them back, right? But the more I fought them back, the more it made me look unstable. They started putting comments in my friends and my family stuff, making it look like they were saying it to me, and then it would disappear. Then I had a cousin, and I was talking about, I went on to online, and I was talking about what had happened to me when I was a child. And I had a cousin who came to me and told me, you need to stop talking about that. I'm afraid something's going to happen to you. I was like, what? I didn't understand at first. Well, it did happen to me. I wouldn't stop talking about it because it's the truth, and I'm still not stopping talking about it, even though they want me to. I'm not going to stop talking about it because this generational curse stops here. There are two families involved in this, one being mine, and the second one, a family they grew up with, who was intertwined because we have cousins that they're cousins with, right? Or their family with. And these two families, not all of the people in the families, but these two families, there were certain peoples in the family that got together and grouped up on me. And these two families were harassing me and stalking me, and went as far as to set up a trafficking of me. I was going through a bad time, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And this person who I thought was a friend of mine, who I had known since I was 13 years old, 14 years old, offered me a place to stay until I got on my feet in Florida. And she was just there for me, it sounded like. So I went, and I got a job in a Holiday Inn for about a month and a half before everything happened. And I was trying to save up the money to get a place of my own. And one of the ladies I worked with, and who was also a neighbor, and who was trying to help me get a place of my own, came to me and told me that this person was trying to keep me from getting a place of my own, and to beware. So that was my first flag. And then she come home, and she had been acting weird to begin with. And then she come home, and she hadn't worked in 2 weeks, and she had all kinds of money. She had went shopping, bought herself all kinds of clothes, bought alcohol, bought drugs, was gonna party, and she was all excited. And I knew that she had talked, that she was working with these people. And I told her, you know what they're gonna do to me. She says, it ain't gonna be like that. I said, okay. And I went to work. And then there was another guy who was involved, who convinced me he was a cop. And he was there to help me and protect me. So I went with him. And he had a gun. And he started acting a little weird. And we drove around for a while. And he had me hold the gun, which I knew was a setup. And I handed it back to him. And anyway, I was gone for 2